Welcome back, everyone. This video is going to be a little different because I'm doing some additional work to the Zenith, but while I was doing that, I attended one of our annual radio swap meets and grabbed a few things, and today, actually, I wound up dragging home yet another heavy object that I don't have space for. So why don't we take a look at all the crap that I just wound up with, and is currently occupying my shop floor. To start with, this is actually something that I bid on in an auction for a different club, and I've already slightly started taking it apart. I have a bad habit of doing that. But this is pretty cool. I was at $7 winning bid. Seems like no one else really wanted it. This is a vintage field strength meter for TV signals from the Industrial Television Company. I just thought this was really cool. I saw the channel selector knob. I don't think this is factory for this unit, the way it overlaps here, but it is a standard turret tuner. And it's got a speaker. So I'm assuming that this should have an FM audio detector circuit inside of it, and then the AM for the video signal just gets detected, and the relative signal strength should be picked up on the meter here, and then it's got band selection. It says it's got one for audio gain, and then there's a range multiplier on there. So it's got a field strap, and it was designed for plug-in or battery pack. So I guess you could walk around with it and figure out where in the house would be the best place to put the TV if you're using an internal aerial. Some TVs did have internal antennas. My Calmus does actually, and so does a Bakelite Philco that I have. Let's see, what else did I get? I didn't bring home a whole lot. Second thing I got was this cute little... I have one or two of these. I just like them. It's a Bell & Howell Nixie tube voltmeter. This one's had a little bit of work done. I'm not quite sure what the switch is for. It says normal and reverse. I don't know if it's a polarity changer hooked up to the input jacks or what. And it's got some sort of a Radio Shack knob here. I'm going to have to find another one for that. I just like them. They're only 2.5 digits, but they're just kind of neat. One of the coolest things I wound up with, though, is this Friedman 1160 calculator here, and it is heavy. I'm probably going to have to do a little video just on this, because it is too cool. I paid a whole 20 bucks for this thing. As I immediately noticed that it has a CRT display. I think this is a 3AP1? I can't quite remember. It's a white phosphor, or... It's not a green phosphor tube, I don't think, but there is a filter in there. It might be a green phosphor with just the filter installed. Either way, mechanical keys, CRT display, the whole thing's made out of metal, which I thought was awesome, and doing a little research on it. This is a very, very early TTL-based calculator, electronic calculator. Apparently there is some electromechanical business going on with the keys to lock them out as you press them. I have tried it out a little bit. It does actually, the screen works. It can display 2 lines. I can't remember if it's 10 plus digits or not for each line, and there is a memory function. So you can send one of the numbers to memory and then pull it back to use it for another calculation. So if you do addition or multiplication or something, whatever you get from that equation, you can store it in memory for later, clear out what you've got on screen, and then pull that number back automatically to do something else with it, which is just kind of neat. It does mean you're kind of limited to one operation at a time. I mean, most calculators were like that. And you have a rotary wheel here for manually setting the decimal point, and it'll actually change on screen as you flip the wheel through. This one does seem to have some issues. The electromechanical part does not seem to be working because the keys don't really return. From what I've read, there's supposed to be some sort of a solenoid system in there that deals with that. And plus, I don't understand the order of operations on this. I genuinely don't know how to work it, so I'll have to try and find a manual for it. Friedman, though, apparently had a number of custom counter chips manufactured for this calculator. And I said it had some TTL chips, and it does have some TTL chips in it. They're all on edge cards slotted into this side of the unit. But it also has, I believe, I can't remember if it was resistor transistor logic or diode transistor logic, so DTL, RTL. There's some of that early work in here, because this was from about 1969? I can't quite remember. Late 60s development. So basically all early LSI or MSI style integrated circuits, but very cool. So excited to get that up and working. I had purchased it because a friend of mine in the club collects vintage calculators, but after I got home and took it apart, I'm like, I don't know, I really like it. It's really cool. I've been getting rid of a lot of my other smaller calculators to him because he likes them. But this one, CRT stuff is just too darn cool. I might keep this one. Yeah. Oh, also wound up with a ton of tubes, partially from a gentleman that was getting rid of some things, and a friend of mine knew that I liked tubes, so I picked them up for not too bad of a price. A good chunk of them were TV tubes, so not super applicable. There was some interesting stuff in here, like these Sovtech tubes, and then some of these Ruby match. I think that's a 6L6. That's a 6V6 in there. Yeah, a bunch of series strung TV tubes I'm going to have to wind up getting rid of. I know someone that likes those, thankfully. And, yeah, let's go find the other stuff. Okay, so out here in the refinishing workspace, we have one of two consoles that I picked up. And it's very hard to tell from the height, but this thing barely comes up to my waist. It's pretty short. I like these little consoles. I like them. I have two more over there, an RCA 5T, and sorry, no, that's a 6K. Yeah, I think it's a 6K, and a that is a. It's a Model 666. I forget. It's a Spartan. It's a Spartan Model 666. So it sits over there because it's demonic and all that. But I got this one because I actually wound up getting rid of two consoles that were much larger than this, and obviously I had to fill that. It creates a vacuum and it pulls anything possible into its space, so naturally I had to come home with something to fill it with. I have a bad habit of doing that. But this is a Parmac, which is a brand from the Midwest, Kansas City, Missouri specifically, and apparently they still make electric fence power supplies and other things, pretty successful at that. Well, apparently they figured since they're already producing farm equipment, they would also produce farm radios. So this is a 6-volt DC set. I actually had it hooked up to my ICO battery illuminator here. This is an awesome piece of equipment. The vibrator in this does in fact work, but I don't have any high voltage on it. Dial lights came on. Couldn't tell if the tubes were being lit up, but they're all fairly low voltage anyway. I think a lot of them are 2 or 2.5 volts. So fairly low current supply, but it's a little disheveled. The bottom plywood base under there is delaminating, so I'll need to replace that. But very lightweight. No transformer or anything. Yeah, I don't know how well lit it is in here, but it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 7-tube set with a 19, which is kind of neat. The 19 over here is a dual triode, and it's used for push-pull audio for the little Quam permanent magnet speaker that's in there. So that's pretty cool. The cables still had their clamps attached to it, or they're a little jury-rigged. And it's funny seeing that enormous grill cloth and this one tiny little speaker mounted in there. Some variations of this radio chassis apparently had 2 speakers. What I cannot find, however, is any data suggesting that this console version of this radio actually existed. This is a Model 733. Yeah, it's a Model 733, and Radio Museum has a table version of this radio, but I could not find any pictures of a console version of this. So that was a little bit of a bummer. However, one thing, and probably the main reason why I bought this in the first place, is it actually came with the original operating instructions and a full schematic. So, full schematic on that side, and Yeah, basic typed instructions on how to use the set and a notice about the warranty, so nothing too crazy there. I'll need to scan this at some point and put it up on the radio forum just to preserve it. I've actually got a few things I need to do that with. So that was neat, but I need to go take a look at the other one that I got. I actually had to split it into two pieces to get it into the house because it was so heavy. So sitting down here on the floor all by its lonesome is the chassis for a Stewart Warner R1485A console set. This is a 10-tube set with a 6G5 I-tube, and there were two consoles at the show that I was actually interested in. This one and a 10-tube RCA that had dual 80s for power. I thought that was kind of odd. They were both about 30 bucks. Both in pretty decent shape, no major cabinet damage or anything. All the parts were there, all the knobs were present. And I liked RCAs. However, this set has push-pull 6L6s. And I only have one other radio in my collection that has that, and I don't have any Stewart Warner stuff. Okay, technically the Firestone's a Stewart Warner, but it doesn't really count. Different branding. But this is one of the magic dial sets. So it's got the little band dealy right there. It's got coarse and fine tuning, and the band switch is this one. You can just barely see it's got a little multicolor pinwheel, so there's broadcast. And I haven't taken the glass off here because it's been sitting up against the felt backer for so long. You can see how a lot of this is deteriorated. I'm quite positive that if I separate these two, a lot of that is going to rip right off and stay with it. On the bright side, this is reproduced by Radio Days. Downside is, God knows how long it would take them to get to you. I haven't bought any reproduction graphics from them in a while, but there are some things I do need to get. So maybe I'll just make a bulk order. But it's a little crusty, a little rusty in there, but amazingly, it still has its original 6G5 I-tube. I don't know how much life is left in it. I can't really see the target to see if it's been darkened or not. I do know I'm going to have to deoxidize this. Pretty good. And there's been a few, it's had a little bit of work done on it in the past. One interesting thing that you don't often see on radios, and it is nice to see, is an included, and it's hidden under this cap, there's a fuse holder in here, which is rather nice. And in fact, whoever did the work on this, probably in the 50s, added a 1/4-inch jack on the back and a switch to allow for a phonograph input. So that's kind of handy. And they called these their Ferrodyne receivers. This is a R148A chassis. Apparently in the cabinet it is an R1485A. I imagine they probably have a tabletop version of this with a slightly different designation. That being said, let's go find the cabinet and I can show you what it looks like. Alright, well, this corner of the building has changed a little bit. The 9S365 is still here, but the corner devoted to my ever-ready Model 43 and that slant front Philco, they have found new homes, thankfully, because my God, I really just bought them to save them. Anymore, I'm trying to whittle down things to just stuff that I like. And that's going to have to go here soon. But here is the cabinet. Let me see if I can't get a more light. Ooh. This lamp is very fire hazardy. Anyway, this is the cabinet for it. It's nothing super spectacular, but it's got some nice features to it. I kind of like the little grill bars down there. It's scratched, it's got some little dents in it, but there's no major veneer peeling, and no major damage. The grill cloth is a little tattered in places. It's a little faded and everything, but glass is intact, scutcheon looks fine. Probably wind up refinishing it at some point. The foot obviously has been kicked and dinged up pretty good. But on the whole, I got it for $25. Couldn't be happier. And it's not very tall. I like cabinets that don't, they're not enormous. So, a little bit of a crack running through the veneer there. That's okay. But yeah, we picked up that, and today, while out at an antique fair, I wound up with something heavy again, and I just brought it inside. Yeah, so, place your bets, what the hell is this? If you guessed a TV, fantastic, you win absolutely nothing, and I still have to deal with it. This is a Hoffman Model 612. I believe it's a 10-inch set. They made 10s and 12s and all sorts of other things. This is the blonde version of the cabinet. Apparently they also made them in mahogany, and they had versions with and without doors. I thought the doors were probably the coolest little feature on this. But if you didn't buy it with doors, these hinges would just be gone, and you have this bare open space, and presumably it would not be inletted for the latch at the bottom. And I apologize for the poor lighting, but my chandelier only provides so much. But you have the brass Hoffman logo on the side, just in front of the speaker. It's got a brass-ish colored surround around the CRT. The knobs are kind of an off-white color now, thanks to time and age, but I get the feeling I should be able to clean these up, maybe get rid of a little bit of the yellowing. I have to get some of that retro bright stuff. That might actually work. What is nice, though, is that all the knobs are present. Absolutely all of them. Channel knob. That feels like a good old clunky turret tuner. Fine-tuning knob is in there. And, yeah. Apparently, the people that had this at their antique store liked to turn it on and see the snow on the screen. They said it smelled funny until they blew it out and got rid of all the dust on the inside, I'm sure. But here, let me get a little more light. Get a better view of that. Probably the most unusual feature is, I don't know how well this comes out on camera, the screen protector here is tinted. So Hoffman had what they called their Easy Vision lens. Apparently when Hoffman bought the Mission Bell radio company and eventually got into making TVs, didn't have a lot of capital to do it, and he needed to buy screen protectors, and he got a smoking deal on some aircraft-grade yellow plexiglass. And apparently just decided to market it as a glare-reducing, eye-saving thing, since there were some consumer studies regarding the dangers of too much television exposure on your eyeballs. Good on them for figuring that out early. I don't think we've learned anything since then. The CRT is also apparently at a slight downward angle, although I don't quite know how that helps. I guess the photons aren't firing directly into your corneas then, but whatever. The plate down here, actually, this is brass, and all of these labels are engraved into the front of it, so the contrast, brightness, the channel, and all that. So, which means if I polish it, all I have to do is go back and fill those in with a paint stick. I do that all the time at work for parts. So that's very easy. Don't have to worry about having reproduction graphics made, and it just screws on the front. Super easy. And what's really cool, and I didn't know they did this, they have what they call a channelized dial. So just like Packard Bell had on their LA radios, where they actually listed local radio stations on the dial, this one is got little station labels installed there. So channel 11 is KTTV, channel 13 is KLAC. They were also getting channel 7, which was KECA, channel 5 KTLA, and I think, yeah, that was, oh wait, no, channel 2 KTSL, channel 4 KNBH. So they had a few of them in there. Not bad. Yeah, cool set. It is heavy. I do have a spot picked out to put this on top of the Calmus, because the Calmus is large enough to hold it, and that cabinet is definitely strong enough. We'll take a quick look around the back here. And remarkably, although it's not in great shape, this still has the rear protector on it. It's just made out of, I think it's like masonite, with some chicken wire stapled to it. And some of the stickers are still legible, so we have the Model 612 sticker back there. That one, I believe, I've seen pictures of it, should be a warning sticker. And then that one down there, I believe, was information on what the controls in the back did. And even the interlock plug is still here, although the back is falling apart in places. And I can't see too well in there, but it doesn't look too bad. I'm not seeing any major modifications. The high voltage cage is still in place. But obviously someone's been in here. It's got a few new screws. I want to find a Phillips screwdriver and pop this open real quick. Alright, back's off. What do we got inside? Well, first of all, there's the warning sticker I was thinking of. A little faded. Nice to see that it exists, though. And this is kind of neat. There is a heat shield around the 5U4 rectifier, and there's only the one 5U4. I'm used to saying some TVs have at least two of these things, provide enough power. Okay, we got... Oh, we have a date. June 10th, 1949. Okay, so this is a 49 set and not a 50. Interestingly, I don't know if that was for a switch. It looks like at one point they had the interlock plug over at the back bottom right. That's neat. Okay, good number is 6 SN7s. It's had some work done. I'm seeing at least one Philco tube up there in the front end. Sylvania, GE, a lot of GE tubes. Not sure, Sylvania, Tungsol. And yeah, all the screws, and I'm guessing this is it's a grounding strap. Those are all still on there. And if they say this thing gets snow, that's good. That means the CRT isn't junk. Let's see. Unfortunately, this diagram does not give me the luxury of knowing what CRT is in here. It simply says picture tube. Wonderful. What else? Yeah, 6 SN7s, 6 AC7s. Got a 6W4 damper, 6 BG6 horizontal driver tubes, 1 B3 for the high voltage. I understand that some of the larger versions of the Hoffman sets actually had push-pull audio. That does not appear to be the case here. I'm seeing what looks like a 6V6 or a 6K6 powering that speaker, so nothing crazy. And let's see. It's got a focus coil. Okay, so this has electromagnetic focus rather than a fixed magnetic ring with some adjustment screws. I don't think I've done a set that has that. And they nicely laid out the head end. The IF strip is that contained section there. Yeah, pretty clean. And a very prominent beefy transformer in there. It'd be interesting to see if this has had any work done on it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Only bummer is Radio Museum has basically no data on this. Doesn't have anything on the tubes, nothing other than it exists. Here's a picture of the mahogany version. I have to talk to a friend of mine that is a member of them to see if I can't get more data uploaded from this set to put on the website to improve the listing a little bit. I'm also told that there's supposedly a website dedicated just to Hoffman radios and television that tells you how many of these were made in what cabinet varieties. But for the life of me, I can't find it. If you know, throw it in the comments, that'd be fantastic. I did want to see if I could find a tube designation on the CRT. It looks like the dust here is very light. I'm not seeing the little roundel. I'm probably not in the right position. It's usually positioned about the keyway. So keyway is over here, which means that the label is probably over on this side of things, right? Maybe. No. I got nothing. Got nothing. Let's try the other side. Well, it's interesting. The ion trap magnet has been shoved all the way back to the neck here. Does it really... I don't know. Sorry, I'm holding you way too close. Curious as to why they pushed that back. Are they not using it, or does it literally have to be that far back for it to bend the beam back? That's odd. Well, what about the tube base? Who made this? Do we have any clues? Anything? Really weird if there's absolutely nothing on this. Huh. Yeah, I got nothing. The base of the CRT appears to be blank. It's got to be a 10 BP4. There's really not a lot of other things it could be. All right, well, that's good enough for now. I'll eventually get it out of the cabinet and up onto the bench, and we can take a better look at things. Navigating that CRT out of those two deals right there. The base is still pretty solidly on it, so I'm not too worried about that. But, yeah. That's pretty cool. I don't know how to work on blonde cabinets, though. This is a fairly cheap wood that they've chosen, and I can't tell if this is just paint or not. If it is, it'd be very easy to replicate the finish. I'll need to check with the guys on the radio forum and see if there's any guidance on that. But I think that's going to do it for now. Got a lot of projects to work on. Got another radio event to get ready for. And I'm going to be demonstrating a few of my functioning pieces. Not a lot of those in the collection, sadly. Trying to work on that. But yeah, this will be down the line. I'm not sure. I've got a number of TVs. I'm not sure if I'd want to work on this one first, or if I'd want to work on any one of the other ones of those over there. Love to get the Zenith porthole working. The little 7-inch National. I've got the Holocrafters. I got a lot of them, and then of course there's the few that I haven't put back together yet. That, yeah, you get the point. Either way, hope you're having a good weekend, because I certainly am. And yeah, more of this to come.